Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photo chats. So Jay Maisel used to always say, if you see something that you want to photograph and you're driving, just stop without thinking anymore. Just stop. Because if you go a mile up the road, you're not coming back. There's a point of no return. Although I think Dorothea Lange made My Grid Mother, and I think when she did that, she passed the pea pickers and she left and had gone some distance and she had to come back, and she did do that. But most of the time we don't go back. There's no going back. Once we don't stop and we don't know where to pull over, forget it. I'll get it another time, but it won't even be there. It's impossible. It's only good right now because that's what caught your eye. That's why the light is perfect. That's why whatever is happening is perfect. Like, I was driving home from a friend's house. I was feeding her dog, driving up this road, and there was an ice storm on this field. And it was the most magnificent thing. Absolutely magnificent. Every blade of grass, every part of every bush, this old fence covered in little bits of ice, all backlit and beautiful. And I pulled over. And I said, I have to photograph that. And I have a long telephoto and a zoom lens in my car at all times. I use that to get detail shots, and it was all backlit, and it was brilliant sun, and it's just gorgeous. When you get an opportunity like that, stop. I'll put a link to the photos in the show notes. And when you see them, you'll say, they're not that good. And you're right, they're not that good. Because nothing really came together. I needed an animal. I needed a deer out there with them. I needed a duck to fly in. I needed something. There's no strong subject. Of all the things I was photographing and trying to make photos of, some things just don't work out. And it's okay. Everything doesn't have to work out. It doesn't mean it was a failure. It doesn't mean it was wrong to stop. You have to try things. If you don't try things, how will you know? And so that's it. End of story. Nothing there. I went back the next day to feed the dog. As I'm coming back, actually I might have gone to school. I was teaching a class at school. And as I was coming back, I saw some geese in this field right by my friend's house. And I thought I was going to go that way and pull over next to the field and see if I can get some interesting photos of geese, because I think they're like, sometimes they all take off at once. And if they do that, that might be a cool photo. And I have that long telephoto in my car, so I pull over, and the sound of those geese was just tremendous. They were so loud, and there were so many of them, and they were just landing, and there must have been, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 geese there. And then I waited. And then, like, as if on command, all at once, they all took off. And it was a great photograph. And it was an incredible photograph. It's like all these geese squished into a frame. They're just like wall to wall, taking off all next to each other, all at once. The day before, nothing. The next day, something. I didn't go out to photograph geese. I was just driving home and saw them. I'm not a real big nature photographer, but that doesn't mean I can't photograph geese. And so, one day has no promise, the next day, incredible promise. And so I put together a little gallery. I'll show it to you. It's also in the show notes. And that photo works. That group of photos, that group of geese photos, that works. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. The ice storm, not so much. The geese, so much. But you just got to be going about your life. You got to go see where it takes you, what you see. You have to watch for things. And when you do, things will show up. And if something shows up and it doesn't pay off, so I got to go outside. I got to make photographs. It's always a fun thing for me to do, to go make shutter actuations and frame the photos and make photos. So sometimes it doesn't work out, but the next day it will. Just stick with it. You never know what you're going to get. But be ready. Have your gear with you. Don't leave without your camera. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you can If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. What are you doing? And if you are not a patron, would you please join? Hit the Patreon. I'll be back next week. We'll talk more photography. As always, here's the good light.